Welcome to the In Cobb We Trust podcast. And today we have Nicole Tirado running for school board in Ward 2. And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Perrin, for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Part of this podcast, we let people introduce themselves to the audience and kind of who they are, where they grew up. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so thank you again for everything, for the support you give to the community. It is everything to us. Sometimes I feel like just a single mom in a room with all these things in my mind, and then you get connected and you realize there's more people like you. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm Nicole. I am a Marietta mom from the Bronx. I'm a working single mom, and I am running to represent all families on the Marietta School Board in Ward 2.
And Ward 2 does not have the best representation right now for school board. Is that?
So I will tell you that the Ward 2 representative right now only earned 16% of the vote. So each ward is broken up into about 7,500 to 8,000 people. Of that, 16% of the people in my ward voted for that person. And I will tell you that I've emailed that person. I've yet to receive a response to my email, and that was back in March. I will tell you no one in my neighborhood knows that person's name. I will tell you that when I go to school board meetings is the only time that I've ever seen that person. And so when you ask me that question, I can only answer with facts and based on my perspective. So the answer is no, I don't think we are all represented on the school board right now.
And what do you hope to achieve by being on the school board?
I hope to give every single family in my ward, and not just in my ward, because I've been in Ward 1 and Ward 7 as well, and other underrepresented wards, the mindset that they too are part of the decision-making power that comes with our $167 million budget. That when decisions are made, we don't just find out after the fact on a one-liner, on a handout that went home in their kid's book bag, that they know before the decision is made, they're able to tell their representative, which will be me, hopefully, they're able to tell me, hey, I want you to vote no on this because of all these reasons. Hey, you know what? I don't really know too much about this. Can you let me know? And so my vision is for all families, not just those with generational privilege, not just those that are well connected, but for all families to be involved in this decision-making process, because this is about all of our kids. It's not just about the few of them, it's about all of them.
And in terms of, you grew up in the Bronx?
Grew up in the Bronx, born and raised. I'm a Boricua from the Bronx.
And I think one of the things that we were talking off camera is that you feel that there is a lack of representation for Latino students, other brown students. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, I chose Marietta, right? I didn't grow up here. I chose here because of the school district, because of the diversity.
How'd you hear about it? I'm just curious.
So I used to live in Miami. I'm originally from New York, right? I lived in Miami for 8 years. So my daughter's whole life, she's 8 years old and she's in 3rd grade now. And honestly, I didn't love it very much because it got really expensive after the pandemic. And so my family that was helping me, as a working single mom in the village, they moved to Tampa. So I was like, oh my God, yes, I need to go too. And they said, but you have to be driving distance. So I was like, okay. So I kept, looking from Tampa, kept going up and up and up to see like, where is the school district that number one is going to be diverse in race, origin, abilities, faith backgrounds, income levels. The area I lived in was very affluent, and I lived in a studio apartment because that's all I could afford. I owned it, but it was a studio. That was all we could afford. And so I landed here because I looked at the school district, I looked at diversity, and my biggest thing was I wanted my daughter to be able to grow up similar to how I did, where we just play outside on the block. Like we knock on the kids' doors, or the kids just come outside, they knock on our door. We all outside on the block. At one point or another, some parent is looking out to see, some parent is giving out water and ices. Like that's what I really wanted for her. And I found that here. And that's why I fell in love with Marietta and really have just thrown myself into all that is for our kids, from the neighborhood activities, like me getting all the kids out with the parents and all of that. We just did a whole block thing yesterday, to just being available to the school, the PTA, being there to whatever they need, whether it's we're doing concession stands at this time, I'll rearrange my work schedule, try to figure it out to be there. Or, if there's a parent running late for pickup, I know that I have a parent on my pickup for after school in case I need. And I tell parents use me as well, put me on your pickup. So I think for me, I landed in Marietta, and I'm choosing Marietta to raise my daughter because of that sense of community that we have in the diversity.
I think that's the word that I was going to use, because everything that you're telling me, I was like, you want to build this interconnected community that people rely on each other and they can trust one another. And for work, what is work?
So work for me, I'm a technical program manager at Pluto TV, which is owned by Paramount Plus. So on Thursday, we'll see if I still,
I'm sorry, I laughed just
no,
because,
on Thursday. Thursday's a big day for us.
Park.
I know, that too. But I love what I do in terms of problem solving. I'm a huge collaborative problem solver. Like if you give me a problem, I'm not gonna sit there and like be online looking for resources. I'm gonna be like, give me a minute. I'm going to go talk to like 5 people that I know, ask them to talk to 5 people that they know. Let's figure out a time. We'll meet at the park. I'll bring ices. We'll get a paleta, whatever it is. And let's figure this out together. And so that's what I love about technical program management is that we use this way of working called agile. And so it's really, I always give this example where it's iterative development where so the iPhone, right? Imagine we would have waited 20 years for, I don't even know what number we're on. I'm antiquated. 16. I'm on the 12. I will ride this till the wheel falls off. So imagine we waited 15 years to have this one iPhone because it has all the features it has today. We didn't do that. We came out with the first iPhone. They iterated, put in customer feedback, released the second one. Same thing and so on and so forth. So for me, that's what I love about my job is that we take into consideration what's working and what's not, and then we adapt and re-release. And that's how we iteratively improve. And that's what I don't see on the school board.
Interesting. And it's what I heard from you earlier is kind of like this lack of transparency, right?
Absolutely.
It's this,
oh my goodness,
you're not giving people the opportunity to give you feedback so you can iterate. Is that a fair?
1000%. So here's what I will say. Part of the school board's role, right? And I'm speaking specifically to my ward, Ward 2. Part of the school board's individual role is to be engaged with the community. I was door knocking yesterday and there were some people I spoke to that 1010% that is true for them. That is not true for me, right? So this school board has not actively engaged with all of the community. When you have these meetings at 6:00 on a Tuesday, right? Let's not even talk about the fact there's no childcare or even a bottle of water, which is fine. I understand we want to be frugal. We don't want to spend additional money on meetings that nobody really shows up to. But it's really just a case of like catch-22. Like people are not showing up because number one, the school board meetings feel very performative because there's always a 7-0 vote. There was only, from my understanding, one time where there was a 6-1 vote, or there's like a 4-0 vote if all board members are not there, but they still have quorum. So for me, you know, the worst feeling that I've had is speaking to people that internalize them not being involved and not knowing what's going on. So I'll give you an example. I was at an event, I was speaking to a parent and I was like, yeah, like, you know, this is what's going on. Like they banned The Life of Frederick Douglass. This was removed from the 8th grade approved reading list. And the person was like, I didn't know this. Oh my gosh, I need to get more involved. I said, pause. Do not internalize the fact that you are not, saying that you are not involved. We are all busy working people. The school board members, it is their job to engage us where we're at. So they should be in your DMs. They should be texting you. They should be emailing you. They should be calling you. Fine. You know what? Let's say that they can't do any of that because they all have jobs. I get it. I'm a working mom. I get it. What about a newsletter? What about a town hall? What about a live? What about on the way to work, you're sitting in the car doing your makeup or having your coffee and you go on a live like, hey, this is what I voted yes on yesterday. This is why. Hit me up if you have any questions. I just feel like there's so many ways for our elected officials who you've literally taken an oath to serve the public, not just who's in your 5 most recent contacts or who you grow up with or who looks like you or who you feel like is going to agree with you. Because if you're a yes person, you should not be in public service. I feel like they need to intentionally engage because now you have parents, you know, and I felt that way in the beginning too, parent. I was like, damn, like, how come I'm not, I gotta level up. I gotta step my game up. But then it's like, hold up. This is not all on me. I can't internalize this. And I think there's so many families that are internalizing, I need to do more. I need to do more. No, you don't. It is on the electeds to do their part.
And what have you heard? You had your first day of canvassing today.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday. Yep. How did that go? What did you hear? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so yes, first day of official canvassing was yesterday, but I've been out in these streets since May 8th.
Okay.
And even before that, I'm just who I am. So many people tell me like, this is what you normally do anyway. I'm like, I know. But I've been out before that. But what I will tell you, what I have heard yesterday and since I've been out, is that it's two sides of the coin. One of the side is, I know my school board member, my kids have grown up with him. They know if they would have voted in this way, they would have heard from me, which is great. I'm glad that those people have that connection. And then I've heard the other side of the coin where like, who is this, the PTA that you're trying to run for? Is this, and what do they do? Can I just, there's just like no understanding. And again, and then they internalize this. So then they feel like, well, I feel bad. Like, no, that is not on you. So I'll give you an example. Even for Franklin Gateway, had this amazing back to school event that they do in partnership with the PAL. And it was incredible to see Joseph Goldstein there and Cheryl Richardson, who are the city council members for those wards. I did not see the school board members there. I was actually there to talk to people about school board and what the school board does. And it was hard to do that without those representatives there. Now I get it, they're busy, they can't be at everything. So I didn't expect them to be there, but I at least expected some of those people to know who they were. I had to parallel and say like, oh, like they're like Joseph and Cheryl for you, but for the school board. So I do think that, I am grateful to the school board for them building this award-winning school district, that our literacy is top in the state. But if you don't have the energy, the time, or anything to do it and engage all of us, then don't do it. And I think that requires a level of humility and respect for the community to say, you know what, I've done this for 3 terms. I'm going to tap out because life changed. Like, I will be real with you, parent. 5 years ago, I was not emotionally, financially, spiritually, anything stable enough to do something like this. But you know what? Somebody else did. And today, my goal in 4 years is to build a community around this so that in 4 years, I'm just a vessel, whether it's Nicole, Magdalena, Harry, whoever. And in 4 years, the vessel moves on to someone else, or if it needs to stay with me, it will. But this is not about me.
It's like, it's what you're saying is just so, I feel like, yeah,
it's not rocket science.
Like it's so obvious.
This is simple.
Right? Like this is
basics.
Like self-imposed term limits, or just like wanting to push the ball forward. And I think one of the populations that I wanted to talk about specifically was the Latino brown population. What do you think? From my perspective,
yes,
it feels like an all-out assault, right? It feels like nobody wants to stand up and say, why are we treating people this way?
Yeah.
Why are we scapegoating immigrants? Why are we going after Mexican immigrants? Why are we going after all these people that are as much of a fabric and part of the fabric of America as anybody else, have helped build this country, that do a lot of the jobs that other people are not willing to do? I mean, like, I was in San Diego. Like, I remember being at the clinic, like literally driving on the 5 or the 15 and being like the last exit. Like, it says last exit in USA, San Ysidro. Right. That was where I did part of my clinic, and where I would like practice family medicine. And so part of family medicine, I would have to fill out school forms and kind of do that whole intake and whatnot. And like, immigrants are what make this country great. They are the lifeblood, and they always have been since its inception. And like,
well, except the ones that came in 1492.
well,
for those.
I wouldn't. I'm not other people that call them like the four, like the immigrants that I refer to.
I know.
It's just,
yeah.
It's wrong
on so many levels.
What can the school board do to address that?
1010% agree with you. I will preface this by saying I never wanted to run for office, right? I've never imagined doing this. Like, I'm the person behind the camera, like doing all the back end tech work. Like, if you need a process built or whatever. And so when you ask me, what do we do? Like, what, and you say all these things are wrong. My answer to that is we run. We run for power. We run for those that can't vote. We run for those that can't speak the language. We run for those that just need someone to represent them. So Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice. I love her. I'll tell you a little story about, like, this happened to me maybe, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. I can't remember. But I was walking. So my grandmother used to live in St. Lawrence in the Bronx. She passed away in 2019. But I was walking. The parking in the Bronx is crazy. I'm sure you know. Parking in the Bronx is crazy. So I finally found a spot. I'm walking. And, like, she lives in a building. But you know how the Bronx is, where it's like some residents, some single family homes, and there's like 4 apartments, and then a building, and then the projects. So I find parking all the way by the Bronx River. I'm walking up alongside of the projects, and I'm like, whatever, just not concentrating on anything. And then I look up and I see Sonia Sotomayor houses. And when I was growing up, these projects were just like Soundview. And I was like, oh my God. And it, like, all hit me in that moment that, like, so my grandmother, for 40 years lived down the block from the projects that are now named after Sonia Sotomayor. And it hit me in that moment that, like, she was just a regular girl, Boricua from the Bronx, and she grew up to a single mom. Her dad was an alcoholic. Both of those. My father's an alcoholic. My mother was a single mom, raised me. I had parents on both sides of the bars. My mother was a CO in Rikers. My dad was locked up in and out of jail most of my life. So, and it hit me in that moment. I was walking to my grandmother's house and I was like, wow, like, one person can really be a beacon for us. One person. And, like, I watch Sonia now, and, no matter what your politics are, you can't deny the fact that she stands up for Latinos. She stands up for our community. She dissents and writes those dissents with all of her heart and soul. And between her and Jackson and Kagan, like, they really stand up for our community. And so I think for our kids, we just need to do that, right? We need to, wherever we're at in our lives, whatever we can do, if it's make a phone call, if it's run for office, if it's be a voice for your kids, if it's take care of somebody's kids, like my neighbors will be taking care of my daughter when I'm going to school board. That's how they're doing their part. So I think we just all need to do our part. And the biggest thing that Sonia says that it plays in my mind constantly when I feel like they're attacking me or twisting my words or making me look bad by printing things with someone else's name but not my name and all these tactics. What comes to mind is she says, I stand on the shoulders of the people that come before me. And she's now created firm shoulders for us to stand on. And I want to create firm shoulders for Phoenix and my daughter and all the kids that are looking up to us right now to stand on as well. So this just keeps going. We keep chipping away at it. This is not something we solve overnight. We've been here before, specifically for Boricuas, the gag law, where it was illegal to even fly our Puerto Rican flag. That's why I'm sure, in June, the first weekend of June, don't go anywhere near the Bronx or Manhattan if you don't want to see a million flags and a lot of Puertorriqueños con mucho orgullo, that we have so much pride for our culture. Mm-hmm. Because at one point we couldn't even fly the flag. And fun fact, the flag that we fly now is not even the original flag, because not only did they have to oppress us and create a law and say you can't fly the flag because it showed all this, they were just trying to tell people that we couldn't fight for independence. They then changed the color. So that flag, the original flag, will never be seen. It's a lighter shade of blue, but even that is those tactics that is just constantly used to suppress. Mm-hmm. So I think what's happening now is horrible, but we've been here before. And I think together collectively, we can get through it. I don't think this will last forever, but it is scary. And I am scared. I am scared of what will happen to the future of public education if we don't have leadership that reflects all of us.
And the point, you hit on such an important point there, that it just doesn't stop after 1 or 2 elections.
No.
Like, this is a lifelong effort. And I know I can only speak for myself. I don't think I was fully aware of that. I think we were taught, I think that, World War II happened and the civil rights movement happened. And somehow we were this post-racial society when Obama got elected, and look how far we can come and all that. And whoa, that was not the case, no. Right? Not the case. And now we've come to the other side of that, when we have like a sexual predator, somebody who's on the Epstein list, that doesn't want to show us exactly like what he did, and a rapist, and somebody who's a con man and a pathological liar and 34-time convicted felon, who hides nuclear secrets in his bathroom. I mean, like, just the level. Like, can you imagine if Obama had done
any of that?
Like, give me a fucking break already.
Any of that.
Like,
no.
It's wild, right? What white people or white nationalists and supremacists will allow.
Yeah. Well, look at the law that was created in 2022 in the state of Georgia, the Protect Students First Act. So it's basically a law that says we can't teach that any race is superior to the other. And in section 2D7, it states that we can teach racial oppression, segregation, and discrimination as long as it's done in an academically appropriate and age appropriate manner, right? And that's supposed to protect students first. But if we can't teach that there was one race that was indeed acting superior to another, then how are we actually teaching it? And I think it just goes to show, like, because some people feel a level of discomfort when we're teaching what's happened in history, they don't want it to be taught. And then they use these words like we have to protect our students. And then for those that are already in that rhetoric and they don't understand how social media algorithms work, where if you click on one thing, it's going to give you more of that, they think that that's the world. No, honey, that's just your algorithm. Okay. Like, that is not the real world. You're just around a lot of yes people. And, it's not their fault. It's not their fault if but then it is on them to figure out that that's not the real world. That's just their world. And they want you to be part of their world.
And I think most recently there was this thing about how like Christian nationalists wanted to form their own white town. I forget exactly where it was. And I'm like, well, isn't that the United States of America? Like, as part of it. But just like, hello, have you ever been to the North End in Boston? But we don't like Boston here.
Go Yankees.
Yeah, go Yankees. Exactly right. You mentioned that your work and its influence on getting a lot of input. What do you think, aside from the school board like being absent and book bans and other things, like in terms of policy that you would ostensibly advocate for? Is there any top things that come to mind?
Yes, a few of them. Number one, we need to have more mental health support for our kids.
Absolutely.
I didn't grow up with artificial intelligence. I didn't grow up with a screen in my face 24/7. My first class in college, the only class that I ever got a C in was a writing class, because it was basically like you had to type it out, but I wasn't used to typing. So I would write my paper in class, but then I wouldn't make it to type it. So I would have to give them like half written, half typed. And the teacher's like, just type it out. I'm like, I'm not used to it. When you write a paper, I grew up writing papers. So I didn't grow up with this level of technology. I didn't grow up with this level of like, you can chat GPT anything. So the critical thinking is not there. And so I think, and also I didn't grow up with active shooter drills. I didn't grow up with vapes. And I think I speak for many of us, when we didn't grow up with these things. Did we have our own set of problems? Absolutely, yes, we did. But I think we need to realize that our kids are going through anxiety that is beyond us. And when we put in all these punitive measures, like the pass-through weapons detectors and the vape detectors, and, all of these things that seem seemingly good, the board votes yes, and then there's like a huge media thing, and we're like, woohoo, we did it. Where's the rest of the process? Are we thinking through the restorative practices? So if we're putting in vape detectors, I am the daughter of an addict, 2 addicts actually, and you can't just take the thing away from the person, unless they're like the kids that want to be cool in school and they just vaped once or twice to look cool. But if a kid is addicted to vaping, it is going to take time for them to stop vaping. So when you take the vape away, and you call their parent, and now their parent probably, I know some parents, they still believe in capital punishment. So now they're beating their kids or whatever it is with their kids. Now, not to put anything bad on the parents, but what if that parent just doesn't have the time and energy to get their kid help because they're working and trying to make ends meet? Like, we're trying to make it out here. Now this kid is going to go and steal a vape because they're still addicted, because we didn't tackle the problem. We just put a Band-Aid on it. So now that kid is going to get referred to disciplinary measures. Now they're going to have out of school suspensions. Now they're going to fall into this school to prison pipeline. But when it started, like right here, like with the vape detectors, we could have said, yes, and we just threw free money at a problem, but we didn't build out a program.
And there was no discussion about kind of like the whole.
I was there. I tried to public comment during that meeting. I tried to public comment, and yes, I will admit my fault. I am a working single mom. It was in the summertime, and I did not send an email 24 hours in advance. I did not. That's my fault, right? I got there. I was like, hey.
I think it's a pretty stupid rule.
Listen,
like, don't we have freedom of speech? Like, don't we have the First Amendment?
And didn't the school board just vote to get paid on par as city council? So city council allows for, I've spoken at city council, you get there a few minutes early, or even right when they're still in the working session, and you sign up
And they'll
for
ask, like,
public
hey,
comment.
anybody want to make public
Exactly.
comment? You just have to raise your hand and go down there.
Exactly. So and everyone's super nice, right? Like, I don't want my words to be twisted and something to come out like, oh, Nicole said this about school district. I love everyone at the school district. I think they work really hard for our kids, and I'm grateful. And they were very professional and came out and said, no, you can't make a public comment because, they didn't send the email. So I get to the meeting and there's a couple people there and they're like, anyone for public comment? And I had to sit there and like shake my foot because I couldn't make a public comment. No one can make a public comment, and no one else did, and that they passed it.
So hold on, let me get this straight. There's lack of transparency about what's going to be talked about and what's going to be presented, and so that then you have to have this rule about sending in 24 hours beforehand, and so you're at every step you're creating a barrier for knowledge and making public comment. It's almost like they don't want to hear from you.
Censorship. Wait, I have a better one for you. And this is where I think, so you talked about policy. Number one, policy, more mental health. Right now in the state of Georgia, I can tell you that the stats that I want to make sure I get correct. So our ratio of students to guidance counselors is 1 to 310 for Marietta. Right?
Like 310 students for one counselor.
For one counselor in Marietta. According to the American School Counselor Association, it should be 1 to 250. So each guidance counselor has a caseload of at least 300 students. That's more than half of Dunleavy. And then our ratio of psychologists is 1 to 1,880. So these problems that our kids are going through could be helped by teachers that were trained to be social emotional learning teachers, our SEL teachers. They teach emotional literacy. They teach conflict resolution. They teach resilience. So when we see our kids in 3rd grade and 4th grade, Marietta City Schools does have positive behavioral intervention strategies in place in some of our schools where it teaches them how to resolve conflicts sooner and all of these things to help them throughout and progress as they get older, to not fall into the school to prison pipeline. But we need to do more and we need to do better. We need to have SEL teachers. We need to have more guidance counselors. We need to put more funding into the social, emotional well-being of our kids. And that's the first policy that I would look to advocating for and look to working with my team of 6 people to come to an agreement. Because no matter where they sit on their political views, I think we want all of our kids to feel like they can be focused in our classrooms, to feel like they can be safe in our classrooms and to actually learn.
What has the feedback been when you've taken this message to the public?
So it's been good. Some people think I'm kind of crazy though, because they're like, we need the weapons detector. I'm not saying we don't need the weapons detectors, but I'm saying we spent $650,000. We passed it last school year on 4 people to be managers of these weapons detectors, right? So one at the middle school, the high school, 6th grade academy, and then the Lemon Street campus, and then 1 person to float. We spent $650,000 on that. And I know that a lot of this is to protect our students, but we should have an open conversation of what happens when a 3-ring binder sets off the alarm and now 25 kids are late to class. And like, did we talk through the use cases? Like, have we talked through if there's a kid that does pass through and they have a gun and like, what happens now? Like, is it, like all of these things that we just pass, that the board just passes, maybe there are conversations and, maybe I haven't been a fly on the wall in the places that I need to be. And I've asked this. And they're like, no, you're up to date on everything, because we just haven't had these conversations. And I think that's why nobody goes to the school board meetings, because number one, they're busy. Number two, where's the value if everything's just going to pass? All of the conversations already have been had in private or maybe in public places where I'm not part of and majority of my community is not part of. But we're not talking through solutions. We're not talking through how is this going to play out. We're just spending money, saying yes to things and like, oh, because we go to this, everyone coalesces around Marietta's great. It is. So now we just close our eyes to everything else?
I mean, from the podcast perspective, we focus on the money. Like, are we asking, is it the best use of our resources?
That's it.
Can we use resources? And it would be asinine, to use the superintendent Chris Ragsdale's word, to think that Democrats or left-leaning people don't want safe schools.
We do.
Of course we fucking do, you fucking idiot. Like, give me a fucking break, right? Like, yes, that is paramount. No parent wants to lose their child, period.
No.
Period.
No.
We're all human, you fucktard. Like, seriously, I really despise Chris Ragsdale. But you can't sit there and say that we're just going to spend money and then not ask, is it money best spent?
Exactly. And I think we just throw money at the problem. So Dr. Rivera, who's our superintendent, he is very available and accessible. Whenever I have any questions, I go to him. When the cuts were made for after school and before school program, I thought I was crazy for a second because like it just came out on a paper and it was like after school ends at 6. And I was like, hold up, don't it end at 6:30? Like I'm so confused right now. And so I had put in a comment for the 24 hours. I followed the rule that time. It was only that one time I didn't because it was summer and my mind was crazy. But so I followed the rule and I put in like, hey, I want to make a comment to the school board to ask why this is happening. And Dr. Rever called me and he was like, hey, no, like actually this didn't even go to the school board. It was us. We cut it because we want to align with other schools because we're the only one that goes to 6:30. And because, staff that will come in at 6:30, it would be hard to get them to come in at 6:30 in the evening. And I asked, like, where did I miss being a fly on the wall? And he was like, nowhere, like this decision was made. And so when decisions like that are made, I really want to see the data. Like, had I been on the school board, and another policy I would advocate for is any program that is offered by Marietta City Schools every day, if it's going to be modified, even by a moment, even by a cent, it needs to go through the board because when it goes to the board, it goes to the people. Right. And so for me, I would have went to the community and said, hey, do you realize that we need to save money because of XYZ reason? Right. Because I'm assuming that's why we make cuts, but I could be a Pollyanna, but we have to save money. So this is the proposal. What do you all think? Like, could we do this another way? Or could I have sat with my 6 colleagues who I'm sure want to learn from me? Because I definitely want to learn from them. And let's come up with a solution together. But to just cut programs, okay, fine. Let's say we had to cut the program. What about the communication that went out to families? It was a one-liner on a sheet that went home that said after school program now ends at 6. We spent $100,000 in the last budget that was approved on copier services at the district level. We could have afforded to actually spell that out and say, hey, 24-25 school year and every school year for the last 10 years, BSP has started at 6:30 and ended at 6:30. Now for the first time, we're going to start at 7 and end at 6. If this is affecting you, please hit up XYZ inbox. We will send you solutions or we'll partner you with someone. Or maybe if they don't even know, we will refer you to your school board member. How about that? How about a full circle conversation where, number one, you decided you had to make the cuts without us. Cool. Number two, you made the cuts and the communication was lackluster. Cool. Number three, you could have involved the school board member. At what point? I have never seen, and I've only been here years, so this may be my lack of exposure. I have never seen any communication go out that says, please speak to your school board member.
Well, Nicole, you want responsive government.
Rocket science. Oh my God. Who would have thought?
Well, I mean, it's clear that you are extremely passionate about this. It's clear that you've done your research and you've done your homework, and that the school board would be well served by putting someone into power to represent them. Because right now we have a rubber stamp, and that doesn't do anybody any good. With the final few minutes that we have, not to bring it down a little bit, but just to be really honest, because it's kind of what we do. What has been some of the most disappointing things that you've learned throughout this process? I mean, I know that it's been great to have this community and everything, but has there anything that you've been a part of that you're like, I wish I was a little bit better?
I wish I was a little bit better at my poker face. I think sometimes this gets me in trouble. Like I can't hide it, and I'm working on that because I think that can push people away that I want to work with. Right? I think sometimes, things really frustrate me when it's like, what do you mean? Like you voted for this, but you didn't speak to anyone. Like, and it's just so frustrating to me that like, I think I could do better at like the poker face and just like, okay, like help me to understand, because I do want to understand, but sometimes I'm just like, so like that they'll probably be like, I don't want to work with her now, but I'm inside. I'm really like, I really want to understand your perspective because like, so I think I can do a better job of like poker face and maybe like not showing my disgust for things that I'm like, this is basic level. Like, so I can do better at that. I can also do better at And I think I started to do this yesterday when I was canvassing. I intentionally started in a part of a ward, in the part of my ward that is on the opposite side and where I know there's more support for the other person that's running right now. And I intentionally did that because number one, I want to understand another perspective, right?
Mhm.
If I'm going to represent Ward 2, I'm not going to just represent Ward 2 based on my 5 recent contacts because that would make me a hypocrite because that's what I feel like is happening now. I want to understand all sides of Ward 2. And then I want to go with the majority of what people want, the majority of what people are saying. Right. And so yesterday, I learned different perspectives and I heard different ideas. And I think that I am willing to do that and want to do that more and push myself more. And I don't think enough electeds do that. I think they just stay where it's comfortable. I just think where they stay where they can get the yeses. And I think also it's important for me to be present so that people that may not know me or may not agree with me based on what they've heard or hearsay, be able to look me in the face and see that I'm a human being and see that like, oh wait, she's not like this scary Latina that's whatever, loud, angry Latina, whatever they're saying, I don't know. But I think that's important. And I think also I'm learning that with power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. And I think I kind of threw myself into this because I saw the person running and I was like, my values don't align because they had spoken out against, for the book bans. And I just, I went to my community, I went to people I know, and I was like, and they all told me like, this is going to be a lot. And I was like, no, I know. But like, who else is going to do it? Like, if anyone else is going to do it, I don't like, I will be their back end person. I don't need to be the face of it. I wasn't even on social media. And so the responsibility, and not even the responsibility of like the tactical stuff, is the emotional responsibility. Mm. Right. And I think I'm learning that. I've never done this before. So I'm learning that. And I think
emotional responsibility. What do you mean by that?
It's the idea that when I speak to people and like I said, like some people internalizing and saying like, damn, like I'm not involved. I'm like, that's not on you. And then I have to like, now that's on me to be like, I just told them that's not on them. So I have to make sure that like I make it my business to reach that person however I can, even though that was my intent, but emotionally it weighs on you because now you're like, okay, but I can't do it alone. So then that's when we reach out to the community and we're like, okay, cool. Like who else is in this community that I know? But it's just emotionally, there's like a mental load that you carry. And maybe because I take this seriously and I'm not just going to do what somebody tells me to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe because I was like, how do these politicians get through every day? Like with all of this. And I think because some of them just don't care. Yeah. And others, they just, they just vote based on what their donors send them. But I think for me, because this is a serious real life thing, like it's something that weighs on you because now if I don't win, how is that person going to feel? Like, and that's my biggest fear. Like, if I don't win, can I speak to the person that won and will that person hear me? Will that person to listen to what I'm saying? Will that person understand that 12% of people voted for them? Are they going to stand for the rest of the 88% of people that either didn't vote or voted for me?
Probably not. Let's be honest.
That part.
Let's be honest, and yet you're persisting and kind of going through it, and it really is something to run, and we do appreciate it that you've thrown your hat in the ring. And with the final question,
yes,
something I ask all the people that I take care of: what brings meaning into your life?
What brings meaning into my life? I would say people. I can't describe it. Maybe because I grew up as an only child and my mom was like constantly working. So like I grew up in the neighborhood jumping double dutch, which sometimes I'm still double-handed. I suck at it. But I grew up in the neighborhood jumping double dutch, playing basketball, making it home before the sun goes down, having to stay with babysitters. And then even after I finished college, I was like, I want to buy a house. And so I left and moved to Texas and like had a community there. And I think just because my blood family we haven't always been in contact or like as consistently, I've just made found family wherever I'm at. And so I think that is what brings meaning to me. That's what's important to me. I think that, with all of this, my one metric for success is that if and when I win over the next 4 years, we already have the infrastructure set up to have a town hall after both the working session and the regular meeting. So we're bringing people in. If it's on a lot, we're going to rent space to be in person, but have a live childcare and food. And even if we only get 1 to 2 people, but for the next 4 years, if and when I win, that one time a month will be for people to understand what's going on in the school board, for them to know that they have power because I'm there and I'm listening to them. And for then in the next 4 years, for someone else to say, okay, you know what? I understand the assignment because you helped me understand the assignment.
Mhm.
Right now, I don't think there's enough of us that understand the assignment, and that's done by design.
Yes.
It's not on us.
Right.
It's
Absolutely.
not on us. So it's now on the people that are in power to help others understand the assignment so that they can show up and be there, because that's what brings meaning to me. Understanding that like we're all here to like fill a role when we can, right? This is my role for today. It's going to be somebody else's in 4 years. It might be my role again in 4 years. Or if I lose, then my role is something else because of all the people that I've met throughout this process. But I think at the end of the day, we have to be here for one another. We have to be down for one another. We're not going to agree on everything, but I'll tell you one thing, our disagreements are going to be manageable versus us and the disagreements on the other side, where they don't even want us to exist. They want us to just, be cute for the camera and have the poker face and all these different things. I'm still going to work on it though. But I think that's the biggest thing is people bringing people together, me being part of that, being able to show love, feel loved, because here's the last thing I'll say. I don't believe in meritocracy. I don't believe in this false idea of like, work hard, great things will happen. Because guess what? I've worked really hard and I've seen people not work hard and get a whole lot. And then equally, I see people that have worked 10 times harder than me that will never get what I have, and I don't deserve this compared to them. So I think the reason why I say people is because we have to lifting each other up. Sonia Sotomayor stands on the shoulders of those before her. We stand on her shoulders. It's not our success and our humanity and being able to go to the grocery store without thinking about your daughter being disappeared or your dad being disappeared, or, at a traffic stop, our Black community has been targeted forever. The Black moms that have to think about their sons going out at night and getting stopped for a traffic stop and not making it home. Like, we have to lift each other up so that in those spaces, we're continuously lifting each other up, because we're not going to be successful and we're not going to survive by just thinking that if we do the right thing, everything's going to happen. No, we have to have people in power that are going to advocate for laws and create laws and policy that allow for people to understand they can't get away with this anymore. Because the sheer audacity of some of these entitled people to like blatantly come out and like say things and do things, I'm like, oh, you really feel like nothing's going to happen to you. You really feel untouchable. And so for me, that's the biggest thing. I know that's a long answer, but like, that's the biggest thing. We need to just nip this in the bud in every single place where we can plug and just keep chipping away so that the next generation, they'll pick up their set of problems, but maybe there'll be a little bit less because of the work that we did here today.
Nicole Tirado, my vote for school board in Marietta, Ward 2. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Perrin.
All right.